So this has happened a few weeks ago. The AI bubble finally burst in South Korea. So this is what happened. Korea. So one of the channels, one of the persons I've watched the news from, is a guy that actually lives in Korea, and I like him a lot because he not only shows you the perspective on the AI bubble from the United States perspective. Like I already said, for example, I am Mexican. My first language is Spanish, but the reason why I make these videos in English is because most of the AI story and the AI bubble story is happening in the United States. That's why I am making these videos in English. That's why I try to reach to an American audience so they can, so maybe what the one person who watch my videos can knows what is happening, and vote in for politicians and people that lawmakers that um yeah, that are making the laws against this in favor of this, whatever. But the point is, like, lives in South Korea, and he shows the perspective of what is happening in this South Korean AI bubble. So basically, what he's telling us is the president, their leader, their first minister, I don't know, of South Korea is similar to Trump in the sense of he sees the success of the stock market as a success of everything. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, for example, like a good example I will give is like when the Epstein stuff was happening and people were going to Congress, and Trump in his socials is saying that, hey, look at the stock market. The stock market has historic highs, so the stock market is doing great. Therefore, everything is great. It's the same thing that is happening from here in the United States, to South Korea. In the case of South Korea, the AI bubble there is not really based on the like models or whatever. Is more based on chips and the RAM and all this stuff. The RAM crisis, whatever. And so, yeah, because there is a country that makes most of the RAM and these computer parts that are used for data centers and whatever. Specifically, three companies, and one of them is Samsung. The other two, I am not sure what their name are. I think one of them is Micron, and the other one I don't really know. And yeah, most of their economy, most of their, how could you say, most of their economy, most of their e- basically strategy is to push everything into AI and everything into the RAM and everything into data centers. And now it has finally burst the bubble in their faces. And this mostly started around when the SpaceX IPO basically flopped and it went down. When that happened, many of the countries that were investing, like for example China, some companies in China were investing into the IPO of SpaceX, and many other Asian countries were also doing the same. Many of them were going down. These I don't want to say that, oh, the SpaceX IPO caused this bursting. No, but um, what happened is there was Black Monday, mostly not in part because of the SpaceX stuff, the other one because of the data center stuff, and then it it, it then the another Black Monday happened, and then everything has gone down, and this is a story that is being talked for a while. I have seen many people I follow from news articles and whatever talking about, yeah, this is happening. In the case of returning with this channel. His name is to Chris something. I forgot something. Sorry. I promise I'm going to finally put the playlist soon. Sorry for the waiting about that. But the point is, the the stock market of South Korea, because they were basing everything into this AI glazing and the chips and the RAM and wherever, they is going down. Therefore, the network of many Asian and South Korean people is also going down, and also many companies are going down. For example, one of these companies lose 40% of their worth in one day. And honestly, I will say, hey, look what is happening right now in South Korea, because what is happening in South Korea is going to happen in the rest of the planet, from the United States and the UK, China, South, the parts of like the countries that are dependent of the United States, including Canada and Mexico, and other Australia, all other countries, basically of the countries that have invested so much into this AI glazing, AI stuff, So yeah, I would say, hey, look closely what is going to happen and what is happening, because this is the beginning, Well, in the case, for example, in South Korea, they try to, because this is the thing, when a bubble burst, it's not really like a magical thing that happens. No, it's you really see a bubble bursting when investors that are holding stocks, that are holding value of parts of of the company, are forced to sell. In the case of South Korea, that is what is happening. The bubble burst, like, to keep it in a simple terms, let's say you own something that is worth $100, but because the bubble is bursting, the value is going down, and because you can not only lose the value of the thing you are holding, but also lose money in this thing because you are buying and holding it. You have to sell it, and the more you sell it, the more people sell it, the more the value goes down, and because the value is going down, the other people that haven't sold yet are forced to sell as fast as possible, because if they don't buy because if they don't sell as fast as possible, their value is going to drop. They're going to lose money. The money they invested is going to disappear. So it's the cycle of a race to the bottom, where they have to sell before it's too late, before the value goes into the floor, and there some then into hell, into the bottom. South Korea market tried to. They really can't stop people from selling, because because if they stop people from selling, everyone is going to lose their value. Everyone is going to hold something that was worth $100, but now is minus 1,000, for example. They freeze the market 2 times, free, from there, in the hopes of the market auto-regulating itself, and so the race to the bottom wasn't that impactful, I guess. But the thing is, when you freeze the markets, you basically have a freeze economy. Basically, like, in a really, like, simplified way to explaining this, you have like a freeze economy for a little bit. So they can't have a freeze market forever. So they return the markets, they unfreeze the markets, and everything return back to the bottom. So this is what's happening in South Korea. Now, like I said, that we all should watch what's going to happen in South Korea, because this is like the sneak peek on what's going to happen when the American and the overall bigger AI bubble burst. The bubble where the circular economy, Nvidia, OpenAI, Anthropic, Google, Meta, whatever, all of these companies are participating in, because if, like, we are now seeing, like, people losing money, people losing network, people losing capital, companies losing value. But this is just the beginning. Maybe we're going to see companies closing down, people going to bankruptcy, for example. Who knows, really? But the point that what I am trying to make is, what is going to happen in South Korea is going to happen 10, 100 times more in the United States and in the rest of the planet, because of the larger AI bubble that's going to happen. For example, I will say is, like, I like something I forgot if I make this video about the parallels between the NFTs, whatever, whatever, whatever. But for example, in the case of like I want to make a full video about the parallels and differences of the dot com bubble and the AI bubble because I think is they are kinda the same. They are not really the same. They are way different. There is like an article I read the other day, and I really want to quote it in one of these videos. But basically, yeah, this is. Wait a second. Sorry, someone called me. I forgot what I was saying. My train of thought, well, I lost it. Whatever. The point is, um, yeah, because the dot com bubble and the AI bubble are way different. Like, for example, like someone made the math and they say that yeah, like the AI bubble is 17 times bigger than the dot com bubble, for example. And also remember thing of the American economy right now is based on the AI stuff. So yeah, like this is not a regular bubble. This is not going to be like the dot com bubble. It's going to be more like the 2008 financial crisis. And I bring that because remember, like we haven't fully recovered from the 2020 the 28 financial crisis. Even here in Mexico, we also haven't recovered. Like for example, the whole like people needing 2 jobs or 3 jobs to exist. That is a consequence of the 2008 financial crisis, and that effect, for example, that was also affected here in Mexico. So yeah, and then you also have COVID, the pandemic, where we have like people are still paying things from the pandemic to this day. 6 years, no, like one much, like 4 years. It started in 6 years, but it was 2 years. Like yeah, 4 years, 6 years ago, and this bigger and kinda most of the global economy is based on this thing that is going to fail eventually. We don't know what the effects of that's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be really big, and we like even if um like I am having this thought in my mind, of what the effects are going to be about this. In the case, what I mean the effects of, I mean in the case of because there is like many possibilities, the bubble burst, but the winners, with quote unquote winners, are going to stay. For example, I also think of, well, will there be a market, because clearly there is a market for AI. It's going to be so expensive, or a sneak peek for the video I'm going to record exactly after this one. Will China is going to be the winner of this? What's going to happen if China wins? If China is on the table at all? So yeah, whatever effects going to see is going to happen, we really should watch out of what is going to happen in South Korea. And yeah, because if like this is the thing where I say people like we like I don't want to bring the table of giving a the specific date. I said it from the beginning. I think the bubble is going to burst somewhere between the middle of 2026, early 2027. I think because the things like that's happening, and now we don't have theory. We have physical evidence from the SpaceX APO, from this thing in Korea, from OpenAI being in red numbers. Like for example, the guy of that predicted the 28 financial crisis is also betting into this. He's also saying, "Oh, this is going to burst really, really soon." So yeah, this is. I don't want to say when, but the thing is, the only thing I think is clear is soon. Like, for example, like there's the other part of the debt. All these companies, including like Google, the biggest ones. Because the thing though of big companies is they don't really want to use their money. Big big billionaires, millionaires, they're not really going to use their money. They're going to use investors' money into their projects, not really use their own money that they can lose. That's why, for in the case of the video of SpaceX, I bring up Meta and Google that are $1 trillion companies um, looking for $80 billion in the stock market. In the case of them, it's like $80 billion from them. It's like cents. Is 0.01% of what they have in money, but they still want to, well, they don't want to use their money because this is how these companies work. And this debt, people like the banks and the investors and whatever, they are not going to wait. You know, they are not going to wait for 2014 until they are what's the word? Until they are profitable. And even then, we don't know if by 2014 they are going to be profitable. We simply don't know. So and they these debts are coming soon, and thing is like you cannot pay this kind of debts with another debt. You know, well, this is the video. Like, look out what's going to happen. Peace, I guess.